hearing echoes from PRX, and I'm John Diliberto. Norway has turned out a lot of modern music in the last 50 years or so, from the jazz of ECM artists like Terje Rypdal and Jan Garbarek to singer-songwriters like Anna Brun and electronic music like Biosphere. Right in the thick of it all is Röyksopp, who have released 7 albums since 2002. The latest is a pair of releases, Profound Mysteries and Profound Mysteries 2. I'm talking to Röyksopp on Riverside.fm from their studio in Bergen, Norway. They're currently in the midst of altering their space, so everything looks ramshackle in the background. Röyksopp is Torbjørn Brundtland and Sven Berger, and they've been making electronic music since they were kids in the 1980s. They grew up in Tromsø, north of the Arctic Circle. The name has a bit of a psychedelic air to it. Torbjørn Brundtland.
I'm sure you know there are at least 3 different meanings it can have. One being the funny one, puffball, which is a mushroom that we used to play with when we were kids. If you drop it or step on it, it emits a cloud of spores that looks like smoke. And the other one would be mushroom cloud. There's also the third connotation would be some sort of very silly tongue-in-cheek. Röyk means smoke and sopp means mushroom, so you have that as well.
I wouldn't describe psychedelic to the sound of Röyksopp, but they are chameleon musicians who move from dance bangers to ambient glitzy pop to down-tempo. When I interviewed Röyksopp in 2010 for the melancholic all-instrumental album Senior, I noted that their next recording would probably whiplash you in the opposite direction. And that's what their 2014 album, The Inevitable End, did.
Make a space for my body. Dig a hole. Push the sides apart. This is what I'm controlling. It's a mold. The inside that I carve.
They waited 8 years before they released new music, and the first album, Profound Mysteries, mostly heads back to that melancholy side of things. Sven Berger.
We like the sort of the contrasting emotions, the paradox, if you want to call it that. They don't necessarily need to be contrasting either, but the ambiguity then. So again, Senior and Junior, they are counterparts or related somehow, showing different sides of what Röyksopp is all about. And we have that thing with obviously a background within club music and electronic music and the rise of electronic music ever since the 80s with, you know, house and Chicago house, deep house, rave and techno, all that stuff.
Among those influences are Kraftwerk, who they say was an inspiration on Profound Mysteries. Torbjørn Brundtland.
The concept album is something that we've been enjoying ever since we discovered Kraftwerk as children. Sven and I, we met up when he was 12 and I was 13, and we became friends immediately and bonded over music. And one of those artists was the German band Kraftwerk, and one could say that their concept albums are like the purest of concept albums.
And what is that concept on Profound Mysteries? Torbjørn Brundtland.
Mysteries is part of the title, and mystery is something that we feel that we as humans maybe painfully have to realize that reality isn't that... it's not a mystery to be solved, it's a mystery to be experienced. And what we don't know is just so vast, and we have been fascinated with that sort of vastness on every level, from an interhuman level and to the actual vastness of space and everything in between.
Röyksopp don't sound like Kraftwerk, but the influence is there, sometimes overtly, like the song How the Flowers Grow. Sven Berger.
It's very reference heavy, I think. It's quite esoteric in that way, which can be a bit of a turn-off when I say it, because it sounds so elitist, like you have to have the references, otherwise you can't get it, which is obviously not right. But surely you can appreciate, like you did now, to find little bits like, oh, that has to be a nod to Kraftwerk, which is obviously intentionally put in there.
No one can miss the reference on How the Flowers Grow with its robotic vocal from Pix. And like Kraftwerk, there is a future-looking aspect to the lyrics.
I think the lyrics do give away something, and also the way it's being produced. There is an element of robotics or some sort of AI, if you want to call it that, within there. You can almost also read into it some sort of environmental reflections or introspections.
My body is a temple in a different world without a care. Logical. My future is a master of nothing at all. It isn't there.
This is the only robotic song on Profound Mysteries. There's also one banger tune with singer Alison Goldfrapp called Impossible.
We wanted it to be somewhat gritty and driving, but not like overtly gritty to the extent that it's like we're trying to be hard or tough. I think that's as hard as we can be, or gritty as we can be, within the realm of Röyksopp at least. With Profound Mysteries, the intention is always to evoke some sort of emotion, and ideally the emotion of wondering and thought. That is what we want to do.
You're the space between impossible, perfect dream. They can touch the sky. Hear your lion heart. Feel the inside. Feel the inside.
Röyksopp is a band that relied on samples early in their career. But that sound is gone on Profound Mysteries.
There are none other than the ones that we create, which is obviously what we also do. But we like the sampler as an instrument. So in order to make these textures, like the deconstructed vocals that, you know, runs with different looped segments, yeah, we love that, field recordings and such. But the samples are created by us and not sampled by other, yeah.
Röyksopp haven't jumped on the modular synthesizer bandwagon yet, but their music does have a chromium sheen about it. But they can also be a bit romantic. Their song, If You Want Me, sounds like it could have been on a Disney soundtrack like Frozen.
As the evening's dying down, I will tend my weary mind. I must rest this heavy head, getting tired. All these
We want the Profound Mysteries to also be a nod to the things that has somehow colored us as musicians. Deliberately or not, we need to put it in there. It's kind of tricky to sneak that in without it becoming a full-on bloated, you know, a Disney song. Because Disney can be really good in terms of the music, the compositions, but it can also be pretty, in my ears, horrific.
But given the Disney references I've made, the song, sung by Suzanne Sudfer, sounds like it's actually about depression or death.
Those two things, although we're sitting here smiling and enjoying life, are reoccurring themes within our music and has always been there. For whatever reason, there's a touch of melancholy in things that we do. Even The Inevitable End and Senior is dealing with themes such as despair and desperation and depression and ultimately, death or an end.
Death is certainly a profound mystery, and Röyksopp adds to the ambiguities with visualizers and films for each track. The visualizers by Jonathan Zawada look like futuristic, surreal art in Mobius motion. In fact, the logo for their current website is a Mobius strip, and one of the live-action videos for Impossible features a man running from a giant yo-yo tied around his waist with a string, so it keeps running over him.
We wanted Profound Mysteries to be a universe expanding beyond just the music. We have sort of joined forces with an Australian artist called Jonathan Zawada, who helped us shape the artwork for the Profound Mysteries, as well as also making some artifacts, as we call them, per track. So each track has a little artifact that he has created by utilizing obviously digital technology as well as drawing and painting, which is what he does. And we have also made so-called, as you said, visualizers of each of these artifacts. Each track has one artifact and a visualizer, just to help, again, emphasizing, underlining that triggering of imagination in the listener. You can look at that thing and wonder, what the hell is this?
What is it is a question that might be asked about Röyksopp, who propel the mysteries further by releasing a previously unannounced follow-up album, Profound Mysteries 2. And as I mentioned about their whiplash tendencies earlier, this one is all bangers. It's something they neglected to tell me in our interview only a couple of weeks ago, probably because it was a profound mystery. The first Profound Mysteries ends with the track Press R, where pressing the R key on your keyboard when you're on their website would get you new music and other clues.
Press R to continue. Press R to continue.
So at this time, the latest album by Röyksopp is Profound Mysteries, but not for long.
Press R to continue.
I'll have a link for Röyksopp's Profound Mysteries in the playlist for today's show and the posting. It's at echoes.org. That's echoes, ECHOES.org, O-R-G. Profound Mysteries 2 isn't out until the middle of August, but they are already releasing singles along the way.